Welcome to vpod.ai. This deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly, a leader in enterprise storage, backup and disaster recovery, AI storage, and cloud solutions. If you're looking for secure, ransomware-proof storage, then Stonefly sells air-gapped and immutable storage. Contact sales at stonefly.com to schedule a demo. So we're diving into something today that, well, if you're aiming to build some real lasting wealth, it kind of flips the script on what most people think.
It really does.
We've been looking at these insights, right? And they argue that making millions, maybe even billions, isn't about chasing some complex, high-tech idea. It's actually about committing. Really committing to a boring business.
That's the core takeaway, isn't it? This commitment to the mundane, the necessary stuff, the things people need. It apparently has this almost unbelievable success rate. We're hearing numbers like over 90%.
90%.
Yeah. And the thinking is people don't usually fail because the idea is bad. They fail because they just don't stick with the operations side, the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. So, okay, our mission for you, the listener, during this deep dive is simple. We want you to walk away with a kind of blueprint.
Right. We're going to unpack the main ideas, look at some specific business models that work, and crucially, go through an actionable cash flow checklist. The steps needed to build scalable wealth from things maybe like ATMs or cleaning windows, even towing big trucks.
Sounds good. And we're basically breaking this down into two main types of businesses, right?
Yeah, two basic frameworks. First, we'll dig into property-oriented businesses. These usually need more capital up front because you're dealing with physical assets, stuff you own.
Okay.
And second, we'll explore service-based businesses. These often cost less to start, but the real potential, maybe even bigger potential for scaling, comes from knowledge and building really efficient systems.
Got it. Let's tackle the property side first.
Yeah.
This is where that dream of, passive income often starts.
Oh, yeah. Everyone loves that idea. Buy something, sit back, collect checks.
Right. But the reality, as these insights show, is that these property businesses, they demand intense hands-on know-how in a couple of key areas. Finding the right location is one.
Critical.
And mastering maintenance is the other. That seems to be huge.
Absolutely huge. A really great example of this is the story of Paul Alex. He's a retired police officer from San Francisco.
Okay.
He wasn't trying to invent the next big thing. He just wanted a reliable side income stream. So back in 2018, he invests, get this, just $2,100.
That's it, $2,100.
That's it, for his first ATM. And he managed to place it inside a local nail salon.
Okay, a nail salon. And how did that work out?
Well, that tiny investment was basically the perfect test case. From that one machine, he was clearing about $500 a month. Pure profit.
Wow. $500 profit a month from a $2,100 machine. That's a serious return on a physical asset.
It really is. But what's maybe even more interesting isn't just that initial profit, it's how he grew it. He didn't rush.
Right.
He went slow. One machine became 2, then 4. By 2021, so just a few years later, he had over 30 ATMs.
30 machines.
Yep. And that whole portfolio, it was bringing in over $10,000 a month, enough for him to retire from the force. And today, his company, ATM Together, is reportedly earning over $8 million a year.
Okay, hold on. How do you jump from a single $2,100 APM in a nail salon to an $8 million a year business? That seems like a massive leap for such a simple machine.
It is, but he mastered the operations, not the tech itself. His ongoing work was all about negotiating for those prime locations. High foot traffic, places people consistently need cash. That was key.
Location, location, location.
Always. But even more critical maybe was the maintenance piece. An ATM is useless if it's broken or empty.
Right, it's just a box.
Exactly. The key to scaling these boring businesses seems to be ensuring that asset is working perfectly 100% of the time. That means having systems. Systems for quick cash refills, systems for fast repairs. Reliability is everything.
Okay, that makes sense. Sticking with physical assets, let's talk laundromats. I saw reports claiming they have something like a 95% success rate, which sounds crazy high.
It does sound incredibly high, yeah. Almost double the average for new businesses, which is closer to 50%. And that's why they're so appealing, right? Find a spot, put in machines, collect coins, or cards nowadays.
Seems like the definition of passive wealth.
It seems like it. But, for anyone listening and thinking about this, let's add a bit of friction here. While the failure rate might be low, the capital needed to actually scale a laundromat business is huge. We're talking heavy-duty commercial machines, complex plumbing, electrical, venting.
Yeah, I can only imagine the utility bills for a place like that. Must be terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. And beyond just the money, you're personally responsible for keeping dozens of these massive, complex machines running. Plus, unlike an ATM where maybe the location does most of the work, a laundromat needs constant attention to the environment. Is it clean? Is it safe? Is it comfortable?
Right, people are spending time there.
Exactly. You have to be the best, most convenient option around. And that takes constant management, constant oversight. So, yeah, maybe lower risk in some ways, but it's a very high commitment. Not quite set it and forget it.
Definitely not. Okay, that idea of meeting an urgent need, that leads us nicely into the third property type, equipment rental. I heard this story about a manufacturing plant out in Colorado. Their main air compressor went down.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic example. Production just grinds to a halt instantly.
And they lose thousands an hour.
Tens of thousands easily. So this plant, they find out a replacement will take like 3 weeks. Disaster. They scramble, find a local rental place that has a massive diesel compressor ready to go, and end up paying $500 a day for it.
$500 a day.
Yep. Because companies will pay almost anything for that emergency availability.
Mm-hmm.
They need the solution now. That's the high margin sweet spot for these rental businesses.
And it's not just the high daily rental rates. There's apparently a huge, often missed advantage with equipment rental. Something about taxes.
Ah, yes. This is where it goes from just being a decent business to potentially a serious wealth accelerator. It's linked to accelerated depreciation. Specifically, Section 179 in the U.S. tax code.
Okay.
Basically, if you buy a piece of qualifying commercial equipment, let's say that $100,000 compressor, you can often write off the entire purchase price against your income in the very same year you buy it.
Wait, seriously, so if I buy a $100 Cal machine and I manage to rent it out for, say, $60,000 that same year, I can deduct the full $100K. So that $60K I earned is effectively tax-free.
That's essentially how it can work out, yes.
Yeah.
You've shielded your profit with the depreciation deduction. You're building an asset that generates cash. And the tax code basically helps you buy it by letting you deduct the cost immediately. It creates these really powerful compounding opportunities.
That's a game changer. And thinking bigger picture, if there's this trend or potential trend of more manufacturing coming back domestically,
right,
then the demand for specialized rental equipment, especially for factories and construction, it's only going to go up, right?
Exactly. The timing can be really good. Yep. But the challenges are still operational. You need solid logistics, strict maintenance schedules, and, crucially, trained people who can deliver, set up, and service these expensive machines. It's not simple.
Okay, let's shift gears now. We've covered these more capital-heavy property models. Let's talk about service-based businesses. You mentioned earlier these might have a greater upside for scaling big, maybe with less cash up front.
Yeah, I think so. While property is great for steady cash flow, if you're really aiming for multi-million or even billion-dollar scale, services often offer a path with less initial capital investment.
Okay, like what kind of services?
Well, honestly, I think skipping a traditional 4-year degree and going straight into trade school is potentially one of the smartest, fastest routes to becoming a millionaire today. Think HVAC, plumbing, electrical work.
The essential stuff.
The absolute essential stuff. These businesses are incredibly capital light compared to, say, building a laundromat. But what they demand is specialized knowledge, certifications, and really robust operational systems.
So the capital isn't cash, it's expertise and systems.
Precisely. And the playbook here for anyone listening is pretty clear. First, get the skills. Go to trade school. Get certified. Then, crucially, go work for a successful local or regional company for a couple of years.
Learn from the best.
Exactly. Learn their systems inside out. How do they price jobs? How do they schedule technicians? How do they handle customer service? Soak it all up. Then start small. Start local. Focus on becoming the absolute best provider in your small community before you even think about expanding.
And you mentioned systems. Part of that now must be marketing, right? Especially local marketing. Is there an opportunity there?
Oh, a massive opportunity. The inefficiency in local marketing right now is staggering. Most established local businesses, the plumber who's been around for 30 years, they're often still dumping their marketing budget into old school stuff. Billboards, radio ads, the yellow pages, if that's even still a thing.
Right, things younger customers might not even see.
Exactly. They've largely failed to master basic digital marketing. Things like optimizing their Google My Business profile, making sure their website is fast and mobile friendly, actively managing online reviews, using targeted local social media ads.
So a new player can come in and just do the digital basics well.
Pretty much. If you're a new HVAC tech and you just focus on getting, say, 50 genuine 5-star Google reviews in your first year, and you run some smart geo-targeted Facebook ads, you instantly gain a huge scalable advantage over competitors who've been around for decades but are still relying purely on word of mouth.
That's really actionable. Okay, staying with services but getting more specialized.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that tow truck example. You mentioned specialization being key for higher margins.
He often is.
Yeah.
So this story involves a very successful but pretty unassuming guy down in Talladega, Alabama. He started out doing basic emergency towing. You know, cars broken down on the side of I-20.
Standard stuff.
Yeah, standard stuff. High volume maybe, but low margins. He quickly realized that wasn't the path to serious wealth. He didn't want to be towing Civics all day.
He wanted the big fish, the semi-trucks.
Exactly. So he invested heavily.
Yeah.
Bought the specialized heavy-duty wreckers needed to haul massive 18-wheelers. And because he was basically the only provider in a huge radius, maybe 100 miles, with that specific capability and the know-how for complex recoveries,
they could charge premium.
He could essentially name his price. When a big rig is blocking a highway or needs rescuing from a ditch, time is everything. The trucking company, the insurance, they'll pay what it takes to get it cleared fast.
So the scaling model there seems simple but demanding. Start with one specialized truck, one service area, be available 24/7, be reliable.
Absolutely reliable.
And then slowly scale by adding more specialized trucks and finding crucially qualified drivers who can operate them safely.
Right. The non-negotiables in that game are keeping that expensive equipment perfectly maintained and finding and keeping skilled, reliable labor. That's the bottleneck.
Makes sense. Okay, if we want to talk about really boring but massive scale, we need to talk waste management, right? Garbage collection. It's like an $80 billion industry that just happens.
We take it completely for granted, but it's fundamental. And that brings us to Patrick Dovigi. He's a former hockey player from Ontario. In 2007, he started a company called GFL Green for Life.
Green for Life. Okay, not a tech startup.
Definitely not. Pure garbage collection and waste services. His growth strategy was interesting. He started small, managing little local haulers, but then he went on an acquisition spree, bought up over 100 smaller companies, consolidating operations across Canada and eventually into the U.S.
Rolling them up?
Exactly. The big break came in 2011 when GFL won a massive residential collection contract for the city of Toronto. That just catapulted them. Today, GFL is a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded giant.
Wow. From hockey player to waste management mogul.
It shows that even in these huge, established, highly regulated markets with giant competitors, there's usually an angle. You just have to study your local market really carefully. What needs are being met or are being met poorly?
Like maybe everyone hates only having one pickup day a week.
Maybe. Or maybe the current players are terrible at commercial recycling or handling specific types of industrial waste or medical waste. Find that small, specialized gap where you can provide better service, commit to it, and that can be your entry point into a potentially massive business.
Okay, great examples. We've covered the property models, the service models. Now, for anyone listening who's thinking, all right, I'm interested, how do I actually start one of these boring businesses? Let's get into that cash flow checklist, the sort of framework for launching without making huge mistakes.
Right. This is about minimizing risk and maximizing the chance of success. And the very first step, interestingly, has nothing to do with making money. It's all about controlling costs and getting really intimate with the operations yourself.
Starting lean, basically.
Extremely lean. Think about that window cleaner, John. You mentioned him earlier. He didn't start by leasing a fleet of vans and hiring a sales team.
No, he started with a squeegee, a bucket, and some soap.
That's it. He went out and cleaned windows himself for local shops, got his hands dirty, literally.
And now he's doing, what, $4 million a year with crazy high margins?
Reportedly, yeah. Something like 40% net margins, which is incredible. But the real value of starting that lean, doing the actual work yourself first.
What is it?
It's that you build the operational systems from the ground up based on solving real problems you personally encountered. The founder of that air filter subscription company, Filterby, he apparently said that even now, with like 1,000 employees, he has personally done every single job in their fulfillment centers at some point.
Wow.
That deep, intimate knowledge taught him exactly where the friction points were. Where deliveries got delayed, where packing quality slipped, where inventory got messed up. That hands-on experience is what lets you build resilient systems for scaling later. Systems that don't need you watching over everything 24/7.
So when you do hire that first employee, you're not guessing. You have a tested playbook based on your own sweat and frustration.
Precisely. Okay, step 2 on the checklist. Prove the model quickly, but keep your risk exposure super low. You need to validate that people will actually pay for your thing, especially that you can acquire customers repeatably.
How do you do that without sinking a bunch of cash?
Well, take the air filter example again. Before that founder invested millions in buying filters wholesale or setting up manufacturing, what did he do? He started by drop shipping the filters.
So he didn't hold any inventory.
Right. Margins were probably thin at first. But that wasn't the point. He was using drop shipping purely to prove that his online ads and website could consistently and affordably attract paying customers. He validated the customer acquisition system first.
Okay, that makes sense for a product. What about for a service, like that heavy equipment repair idea? You can't exactly drop ship a mechanic.
True. But you can apply the same low-risk validation principle. Instead of buying the expensive specialized truck and hiring a mechanic up front, what do you do first? You build a simple landing page. Describe the service clearly. 24/7 emergency heavy equipment repair in your area. Then, you run some highly targeted Google ads aimed at people searching for those exact terms in your location. See who clicks. See who fills out the request a quote form.
You're testing demand before committing capital.
Exactly. If you get a flood of qualified leads, if people are clearly desperate for this service, then and only then do you go find the mechanic or buy the truck. You've effectively reduced your initial risk to almost zero, just the cost of a simple website and some ad spend.
That's smart. Okay, start lean, prove the model with low risk. What's the third step?
The third step is the anchor, really. It's all about hyper-local focus, especially at the beginning. Trying to serve too big an area too quickly is a classic recipe for failure in these kinds of businesses.
Spreading yourself too thin.
Way too thin. The classic example, the blueprint, Domino's Pizza. Back in the 1960s, they didn't launch nationwide. They didn't even try to conquer the whole state of Michigan.
Where did they start?
They focused intensely on just one college town, Ann Arbor, Michigan. They used that single contained market to absolutely perfect their core operational model.
Which was fast. Cheap pizza delivered, right?
Right. But think about the systems they had to nail down just for that one town. The super efficient kitchen layout to make pizzas fast, the limited menu to streamline inventory and prep, the algorithms or methods for plotting the fastest delivery routes.
All perfected on a small scale first.
All perfected, serving just one neighborhood, basically. Those systems, born from intense local focus, became the foundation for their entire global franchise. The lesson is crystal clear. Master your craft and your systems in a tightly defined area first. Learn the lessons, fix the problems, then think about expanding.
Okay, that's a powerful 3-step checklist. Start lean, prove low risk, focus hyperlocal. So bringing it all together for the listener, The big idea seems to be that significant wealth often comes not from chasing shiny objects, but from identifying these essential, maybe mundane services.
Here, the support stuff.
And then absolutely mastering the operations, the maintenance, the logistics, finding those marketing gaps, and executing a really tight local strategy before anything else.
That seems to be the core formula. So if success in this realm is really about solving these localized, often kind of boring problems, but doing it with an almost fanatical commitment to quality and reliability, maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
Look around your own immediate neighborhood, your town, your zip code.